percentage gains.
It's the one bulletin that offers you a global perspective. World Tonight, daily on CMA.
Biodiversity is booming, which is inviting for some local foragers and farmers who embrace edible wildlife.
We're the largest organic banana grower in Singapore.
This is a jam.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the mulberries are from the garden.
No, that's delicious.
Singapore is ramping up conservation efforts locally and across the region.
I really do love reptiles and finding out about them, so I really love my job.
Building must relate to the lives of the people.
目前还是一直要创新一些新的东西，我也不希望是人家把我看作是80岁的人。
There are those who dare to be different, who have made their mark in Singapore and beyond.
You have such big dreams, you want to change the world with your art.
Obviously, every fighter wants to win, so all you can do is to prepare yourself to win.
Nana ちゃんは山梨名物のほうとう、食べたいもの、触れていません。
俺全部いつも置くかな。
こうやってなるんだ。いい話。
はいはい。Japan Hour, Saturday on CMA. Japan Hour is brought to you by Sumitomo Corporation and SMBC.
Updating tonight's top stories, Changi Airport tightens measures to protect passengers and staff. It'll include a dedicated facility and new zones based on risk exposure to COVID-19. Singapore approves a locally developed breath test that can detect COVID-19 within a minute. Authorities and the developer are working to trial the technology at a land checkpoint. Autonomous universities here in Singapore will be able to take in more students this coming academic year. It's to support those whose plans to study abroad have been disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
In regional news, a defiant message from Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi in her first public comments since the military coup. She's vowed her party will live on as long as the people support it. A National League for Democracy could be broken up with the military claiming electoral fraud. Ms. Suu Kyi has appeared in court in person for the first time since she was arrested by the military on February the 1st.
Aung San Suu Kyi told the lawyers to tell the people that she cared for the people, and one thing she said is that her party grows out of the people, and wherever the people is, there must be, and there is necessarily be the party. The party may exist wherever the people is, she said.
Leong Wai Kit explains why the military has only now allowed Ms. Suu Kyi to appear in court in person.
Up till late April, they were actually afraid of letting Ms. Suu Kyi meet her lawyers in person because they were afraid that her supporters may go to the lawyers and try and get some information from Ms. Suu Kyi on how to plan the protest movement moving forward. So the fact that Ms. Suu Kyi is now allowed to appear in person and talk to her lawyers shows that perhaps the Myanmar army is either ready or prepared to face any situations arising from her appearance, come what may. I must also point out several key developments that have arisen leading to her appearance today. One, this comes amid heightened tensions between the Myanmar army as well as the armed groups and civilians who have taken up arms to fight the military. And two, this is exactly 1 month since ASEAN came together to discuss Myanmar and the way forward. And three, most most recently, the Myanmar army had attempted to abolish the NLD. And if you look at this event, purely at this event, you can see very clearly that Ms. Suu Kyi's lifelines to future elections are all snipped off. The role of state councillor, abolished. NLD party, likely to be abolished. She's currently in custody, facing trial. So there is absolutely no presence, no future for her in elections down the road.
The World Health Organization has urged nations to vaccinate at least 10% of their populations by September. It's warned that the pandemic is even more dangerous in its second year. The call comes as member states plan for the next big pandemic at the UN Health Body's annual assembly.
Sprinting to our September goal means we must vaccinate 250 million more people in low and middle income countries in just 4 months.
Reform of the WHO is also dominating discussions this year. Member states want the organisation to be given more funding and powers.
L'Organisation mondiale de la santé doit être le cœur, la boussole de notre santé globale. Cette organisation doit être à la fois robuste en temps de crise, suffisamment agile pour réagir en urgence, solide face aux polémiques.
At the same time, a report has sparked new concerns over the origins of the pandemic. The Wall Street Journal says that researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology fell ill with COVID-19 symptoms as early as November of 2019. Beijing has repeatedly denied the virus came from the lab. It has called the report hype from the United States. Now, the WHO's goal is to fix vaccine inequality, as Stuart Smith reports.
As Dr. Tedros says, is because the current situation is a scandalous inequality. There's a big difference starting to emerge, and if it is indeed the case that this year is worse globally for deaths, you can understand why Dr. Tedros is hitting this point so hard, wanting to get this vaccine inequality sorted out. So one of the calls he's asking for is, of course, more funding for the COVAX scheme, asking more countries to directly donate doses to the COVAX scheme, and even making an appeal to the producers of vaccines themselves, for example, to allow COVAX to have first dibs on any new batches, or to at least promise 50% of all new batches go straight to COVAX, to try and make a difference to getting to that 10% by the end of September and hoping for 30% by the end of the year. But part of the discussion going on today will be about how else to urgently ramp up production. There is also a request for more powers for the World Health Organization, France and Germany in particular pushing for that, but it's not a universal idea that everyone's on board with. More powers for the World Health Organization when dealing with such a pandemic like this could potentially mean more power to interfere in member countries' affairs.
Japan is ramping up its vaccination drive with just 2 months until the Olympics. It's opened mass vaccination centres that can cater to thousands of people each day. The focus is on ensuring its large elderly population is vaccinated before the Games begin. Michio Ishida has more.
With the medical team of the Self-Defense Forces taking the lead, the Japanese government aims to administer 5,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines a day in Tokyo and 2,500 in Osaka through vaccination sites like this one. A shortage of medical staff has been a main factor contributing to the country's slow rollout, with local authorities finding it hard to mobilize enough staff in their vaccination drive.
地方自治体、東京都が接種する日にちよりも今日の方が早くスケジュールが取れたので早くうちに来ました。はい。
So far, only about 2.3 million people in Japan have been fully vaccinated. Until last week, only Pfizer was available. Moderna and AstraZeneca vaccines were only added on Friday.
It's a slow kickoff of vaccination here, starting with those living in 23 wards of Tokyo, and then expanding to those in the suburbs of Tokyo, and then to those living in the prefectures surrounding Tokyo. And this vaccination drive will continue for 3 months.
With 28% of its population over 65 years old, the government has focused its inoculation drive on the elderly, who have to book their slots through the internet or the popular messaging app Line.
やっぱりネットはちょっとできないですから、私が全部やって。
Other than the sites set up by the self-defense forces, local governments have also put up their own vaccination sites. Chiyoda is one of them.
The central government has been calling for the inoculation